like a Japanese cowboy, like a brother on skates, like a blizzard in Georgia. Bone Down Show is one of the greats. You are listening to episode number 1112.
Who fucking knows it?
Something like that. I think that's a number of the Bone Down Show. Your name's Obi.
You're Orlando.
How are you, my friend? How are you, my filthy, uncut, half black friend?
I'm great.
God, you've been in basically half of mankind. Like you are, like your fuck style is buck wild. Isn't
How do you know? Your mom told you?
Oh, fuck you. God damn.
You
always get back at me so good. And we're here with our very special, very unique, like this is such a fluke that we even have this individual, because he is he's a comedic celebrity of the South, basically, and soon to be this entire nation. He's the writer, director, producer, actor, comedic genius of the shit show. How are you, Mr. Cameron Smith?
Well, I'm fine, but I don't think that intro to me really did me justice.
Oh, why are you? Oh, wait, no, wait. So you
I feel like you're really underselling me here.
So you are uncut?
No, I'm just saying, like,
I don't know where I'm going.
Celebrity. Look,
it's a fact. You are a celebrity.
I am a celebrity.
Are you jealous
currently.
of my
I'm
intro,
the real deal.
The dirty, uncut intro. Did you want that uncircumcised?
That's fine. I don't give a shit what he says about you. But I'm bigger than Amy Schumer. Maybe you should have included something like that.
I will agree with that. She kind of annoys me.
Penis size. I'm bigger than her.
Oh, I thought you were talking like physically, like you're more of a fat ass than Amy Schumer.
Oh no, she's way more of a fat ass than me. Amy Schumer is looking bad.
Yeah, she
doesn't care though. That's the thing. She doesn't even care.
I tried masturbating to those semi-nude photos she took.
Sure,
the other day,
I've seen it. Yeah.
And I threw up 2 seconds in. I touched my dickhead and then vomit just poured out of my lips.
Understood. We've all been there.
Tried to close my mouth.
So, in the show, we talk about like what's going on in life. I mean, basically, my friends don't talk to me. The friends who listen to the podcast are like, I don't have to talk to you. I just listen to the show and I find out what you've been up to this week. So they don't give a fuck about like actually, like my family doesn't even care, because they're like, oh, we listened to the thing. We understand that you have herpes now and it's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
They know exactly what's going on with you.
Because you talked about it last week.
Even though you use an incognito name, they still know.
Yeah. But one thing I'm doing is I'm going to a bachelor party, and the bachelor party that I'm going to, and I know this is late in the season, but I'm going to my old college friend's bachelor party, and my old college friend is a virgin, and he decided that
Still?
Yeah, well, no, he was like holding off until he got married, like that was the thing.
Wow, that's pathetic.
Yeah. Oh no! Wait! No! Hold it! No, wait! Let me take it back. He's definitely done he's sodomized a ton of women, but he's never.
Oh. Okay, well, see, now I'm jealous.
Yeah, I know. As we
so
all
this
are.
whole time he's been getting the tightest of the tight, and been like.
But no. But he goes, how do you deal with the virgin? Because I don't know, and I want to be able to perform on my wedding day, and he asked me.
He asked you this.
He goes, Lando, I believe that you have a little bit of experience with that. I said, yeah, I suppose. And he asked what I do, and I said, take your hand, and start at the belly button, and then move down, and then keep on moving down until you pass through the legs and you run out of people. And the listeners can't see this, but I'm showing the negative space between the thighs.
You run out of.
And then once you run out of people, you go up. And then she'll show you what to do after that, and she'll help. And then you just let nature take its course, and that's really the best advice I have to say. Do you ever, Mr. Cameron? Do you have any advice on this?
Well, I'm just thinking. I've got this conspiracy that I feel like abstinence and Christianity have been created as a ruse. Mm-hmm. Like, oh no, sorry, can't enter your vaginal cave. Guess I have to get in that butthole.
You have to.
So,
but I don't hate that.
I'm like sitting here beating myself up for openly defying God and saying, nope, sorry, doesn't exist.
But God invented the butthole.
But when God, the whole time I'm now seeing, has been the key into the butthole, and that's why I've never This is the most I've done. I've stuck it in 2 girls' butts. And
really?
Yep, I've stuck it in 2 girls' butts. Both had the same reaction. Get it out now. This hurts.
Yeah.
This is painful.
Okay, but if you were in the situation that I was in,
Yeah.
where you were asked to give instructions on how to pleasure your wife in a new way, what instructions would you give had you been in my shoes?
Okay. Here's what I like to do with women. All right.
Okay.
I like to find one that I deem attractive. Like go out in public, point to one, and say that's the one.
You got to point, right?
Yeah,
with your finger.
Because when you point,
you say,
that's the
it's
one.
a psychological thing. It does it to the brain. When you physically point at a girl,
sure.
Your brain registers like, okay, that's the target. Like then your
like
whole your whole body goes into offense mode,
right? And
you do whatever you can to trap.
You're like you're like the Ted Nugent of like just poon trapping.
Yes.
Okay.
and so I point and I maybe get her somewhere, corner her where she doesn't have an out, doesn't have
like a net in the corner situation.
Preferably, it works even better if I know that her phone's dead and she can't like contact anyone, like no emergency
like there's
contact,
a power outage,
like she's like she's afraid in the situation that I'm about to put her in, and then I say, all right, well, why don't you drop trowel? And then she,
that's your opening line.
Right. You just kick it off with that.
I skip the names. I skip the names and say, why don't you drop trowel? And because she has no phone service, no cell phone, no one's around but us. She's scared, so she just listens.
And for her, it's best not to struggle.
Right. And once she's nude, I just enter her.
So there's no like moving down in terms of like creating an arousal.
Okay, well, sometimes you have to take your fingers and from your hand, your fingers on your hand, and you have to put them right between the woman's crotch and her legs, right where her vagina is. And then you're going to be touching these outer lips, and that's called the labia.
With my hand,
so you maybe take your middle finger and your ring finger,
sure,
and bend your index and pinky back so they're not touching the thighs.
And now what happens after that?
Well, then you just start rubbing that violently. Violently as you can.
Yeah. On
the labia.
I don't know what that is, but okay. Yeah.
The lips, the labia.
Yeah, labia.
Sure, okay.
Lips, labia. Remember the L's right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Lady, labia.
I'm learning a lot. This is great.
Because really, if you think about it, a lady isn't much more than a labia. And that's why you have to get it wet by rubbing your fingers.
And is that where I've been going wrong for the last 32 years? Like I've been considering them maybe something else, but they're no more than essentially that part of the anatomy.
Oh yeah.
Okay, understood. Okay, go on, please. We're learning. This is great.
I mean, dudes are dicks. They're walking hard-ons, really.
Sure.
Aren't we?
Yeah. Okay, I'm listening.
And if you're rubbing violently, and after about 10 to 15 minutes, if it's still not moistening itself, then you have to split that bitch open, and you got a hock a loogie right on those lips.
So
and then
you provide. Okay.
Then you provide the lubricant, and once it's moist enough, and of course your penis is hard at this point, unless you're homosexual, and if you are homosexual and your penis is still flaccid at this point, leave. Say, apologize to the woman. Say, I'm sorry.
I mean, you like a gentleman, you walk away.
Right.
At this point, if you have moistened the vagina, whether that is through the natural, vigorous rubbing of your fingers onto the labia, or whether that's from hawking a loogie right on that cunt and getting that shit moist as fuck, then you're going to take your hard dick and you're going to penetrate that cunt and you're going to do it over and over again until you semen jism from your dickhead.
Okay, and then what happens after that?
You can either just allow that semen to release from your penis while inside the vagina, or you can take it out and blow it all over the girl's face.
And are those essentially my options?
You could do it.
Okay.
You could blow it on the tum tum. You could
Sure.
take it out, put it in the booty hole, and bust inside there.
Okay.
No consequences from that.
Now, but I guess what I'm well, I realize that there are no consequences to virtually anything that you've just mentioned. But
course
what happens like at the end of the evening? Do you go home? Is there a card? Is there some sort of getaway, like leaving gesture, parting gesture?
Here's the last advice, the most probably important.
Okay, and then we'll go for a break for the sponsors, and we'll reconvene. But here's the last advice.
If you have any sort of minor sneaking suspicion that this girl that you just engaged in consensual sexual intercourse with,
Sure.
that she's going to tell anybody about it, slit her throat. And if you don't have like a box cutter, I like to keep one on my keychain. But if you don't have something, or just you could use a key too. I've done it. Before I bought the box cutter, I was like, what am I gonna do? I was like, okay, I got a house key.
Like that's effective.
It is.
I mean, you got to use some man force.
You got to use some pressure. But right, if you're a heterosexual man, you should have it.
Right.
So yeah, and if you have any sneaking suspicion, she's gonna tell you what. Yeah, end it there. And if you don't even have keys, if you're one of those guys, just if you get a little bit of sharpness on your fingernails, you could probably rip that throat open with your bare hands.
We've all been there. What? With that said, can we get a word from our friendly sponsors?
Sure.
This ought to be good.
What the fuck are you doing tonight? Are you taking your old lady downtown in Wilmington right by the riverfront? Well, if you're gonna do that, get some fucking ice cream. You better go down to Goodies at 1813 motherfucking Front Street. We got flavors that your mother warned you about. We got the Chocolate Express with rainbow sprinkles. You wanna talk to Brenda? She'll make you a fucking banana split. Get yourself some ice cream or else you're a pussy.
Here at Goody's Ice Cream Shop, we're family friendly. So come on down to 1813 West Front Street. We've got good fucking ice cream.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Bone Down Show. At this show, we do a lot of statistical analysis, and we shoot that up to. Yeah, that's correct. And we shoot that up to our forensic laboratory on the 16th floor of our Manhattan studios. And this is what they gave us this week. They said, Bone Down Show, why don't you analyze this? Let's think about marriage and boning down.
Okay.
In 1960 in the United States, there was a study done, and this was conducted by Yale University.
Yale, huh?
And the whole thing is like this 70-year-old Yale University study. It started from the
Yale
60s.
Even a legitimate university?
It's questionable. You're right.
That's what I want to know.
It's a good question.
Well, I mean, who are they really?
In the 60s, the average age for losing your virginity, according to a Yale study, for women was 18.
Okay.
The average age for marriage for women was 18, and for men was 20. So you bone down, if you're a woman in the 60s, you bone down the same age, you get married.
Right.
Okay? Fast forward, year 2000, it's the new millennium. Things have changed. Your average age for getting married has gone from 18 in the 60s to now 23 in 2000.
Okay. 5 years.
And for the men to get married, it's 25. So 25-year-olds on average are getting married to 23-year-old women on average, and they're boning down at roughly 18. They're boning down at roughly like the first time the woman loses her virginity is like 16 to 18. All right, so they're boning a little earlier and getting married much later. You see this trend starting to happen. Now, let's fast forward even more. 2015. The average age of boning down is when? Take a guess. Actually, you know what, Cameron? I don't even want to hear your guess because it's going to be fucked up. Obi, what do you have to say?
I was going to say 16, yeah.
Seriously? Okay.
right.
It's actually a little earlier. They were saying.
Oh no.
No. They were saying 13 to 16 is your average age of getting boned. Okay.
Really?
Oh, I believe that.
I believe it too. And at the same time, in 2015, the year of the Lord, the average age of boning down was from 13 to 16 for women, and for women getting married, the average age was 25, and for men, it was 32. Do you recognize this trend? Do you see what these statistics from Yale University are getting at? What this says is that the older you get, the older we get as like mankind, the less likely you are to get married you get married later on. So in the 60s, we're all getting married and boning for the first time in our 20s. Now we're getting older, and men don't get married until they're 30. Mm-hmm. Women get boned, girls get boned when they're young teenagers. So at what point does it stop? Because we're seeing this trend. Like in 2025, is it normal for like a 40-year-old to bone with like an 11-year-old? What the fuck? Like where does the line draw?
Wait, no, they're not getting
That's
married
the way it ought to be.
at that young of an age, but you're saying girls are starting to bone earlier,
super earlier,
but they're not getting married until they're much older.
And you
Correct.
see, that's
and neither are men.
So they're boning more individuals.
Correct.
my peak was when I was about 6 or 7.
You peaked out, yeah.
When I hit about 4 inches hard, and now I'm at about 1 to 2 inches.
There's no shame in that. You're fine.
Yellow 5, they say, I guess, right?
Can we just wrap things up here? Is there anything else? I mean, can we just stop?
What? Wrap it up. I thought we were having fun.
Well, we are. I mean, I don't want to continue. Whatever. I mean, do you have additional comments on the
pedophilia that we're talking about?
Absolutely not.
Don't use that word. That's not fair.
I don't want to talk about this anymore because I find the subject to be rather disgusting and uncomfortable, uncouth even.
Okay. That's a word that I don't know, but okay.
I heard my best friend Matt Milner uses it.
Okay.
And so I
all right, whatever, big words.
whip it out.
Okay, sure.
Whip it out.
Do we have any plugs?
I'm sure we do. Take it away.
Okay. Very good friends of ours. Jordan, anyone who's listened to any of our episodes, which is like 3 people, know Jordan Bench. He was on the very first episode of Bone Down and a couple others afterwards. Very hilarious guy. He is spearheading the Respect the Road tour. And respect, I mean, spell respect, but in terms of the end of it, replace it with a K. Respect the Road.
Respect.
And that's how you find him on Facebook. It's Jordan Bench and Reed Clark and the lovely and very funny Meredith. They are going from Wilmington, North Carolina, which they left, I think, 2 days ago, all the way over to Seattle, in which they're never going to return to hang out with us ever again. And they're doing a comedy tour of roughly like 20 to 30 shows, and they're doing great. And we just wanted to give a shout out to them. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Reed. Thank you, Meredith, for kind of supporting the comedy scene here in Wilmington, North Carolina, and supporting the Bone Down show. And Cameron, do you have anything you want to plug? You're a shit show billionaire, so do you even have to plug stuff these days?
I tell you what, I'd sure like to plug a radio in while I'm laying in a bathtub.
And as Johnny Depp throws a grapefruit at your head.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if you caught the reference.
Fear and Loathing.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, whatever.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Shit shows.
That's White Rabbit Peaks. Whatever.
I'm back at Filmin' Shit Show. Filming is supposed to start again this weekend. Gonna shoot episode 11. The
You
Chris
guys
Spike story.
Check out
Hilarious
Shit
show. Check it out. It's on YouTube.
Season 2 will not air until mid 2017.
Seriously?
Probably. Maybe later. Maybe 2020.
Either way, you still have, for the listeners who haven't seen the show, you still have a lot of backlog work to do on Shit Show Season 1 because it is very deep. And by that I mean, you've got what, like 9 hours of stuff? In season 1, you have a shitload of point is, he has a shitload of material already recorded on YouTube that you can find, and it's fantastic.
It's okay.
Whatever.
If you want to sit through it, that'll be cool.
Is there anything we want to outro with?
Bone Down Show, yo, on Instagram, Bone Down on YouTube. Check it out. And fuck off.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say I'm apologize for maybe not being the greatest guest on the show. I really wanted to give it my all, but sometimes it just doesn't really work out the way you plan things out. And not only do you feel you're disappointing those around you and people you're trying to make friends with, but you also disappoint yourself a little, and it allows you to go home and think about it and figure out ways you could improve next time, if even given an opportunity next time, because you never know, you might pass away one day and never have a chance. So, go with God or don't, because if you ask me, that shit's a waste of time. But personally, what I like to do is go on Google Images and search oil paintings of Jesus Christ, and then I like to take baby oil and pleasure my penis with my hand to those Google Images. Helps to go on the search settings and whittle the results down to high resolution photos only. The same process works if you search magnified photos of bumblebees or candid photos of folks with Down syndrome, or open 80-year-old pussy. Take your pick, bud. Have a good night. I'm out.
So this is sort of like what do you want to call it? Like a post show, like the after show?
Yeah.
With Mr. Cameron Smith.
Still here, boys.
So I'll just tell you right now, I'm fucking disappointed with you. You're a funny guy, and you're great on the show, but the fact is, the sole reason, the one and only one reason we got you on the show is because we thought, as a young man, like you being a young man, you would bring us some college poon into the studio. And you dropped the ball, son. Explain yourself.
I don't know. I'm not at all a ladies' man. I don't know why everyone thinks that.
Well, I can
You're
tell
a comedian.
you.
Not everybody, but
Thank you.
You're
there's
a young
just
comedian.
I can tell you why people think that way.
random
because
older men. They're like, "You're a handsome boy. Why aren't you bringing sexy bitches around here?"
That's exactly what
Is
it is.
that what we sound like?
We're,
right
no,
now?
we're pervy old
No,
men.
we're pervy old
no,
men.
he's right. We're pervy old men wanting to bring on a young comic to get us some young poons
Well, I ain't
because
got-
we're old poon hounds.
and I ain't got no connections.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay,
You're
here's
barking
why
up the wrong tree, boys.
Here's why you're underestimating yourself, because here's the deal. I'm not trying to be like no homo, whatever, but you're a good-looking dude.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm not.
And you're a young man.
I'm not saying I'm not good looking or I'm
Whatever.
ugly
No.
or anything.
Shut up. I don't
listen,
care. I don't want to have this debate.
I feel confident in my looks. I'm not really concerned about them, but I'm not drop dead fucking hot guy. You
saying
know,
Brad
like
Pitt,
something
whatever. I'm
that
just
makes
saying you're-
girls split their legs open when they see it. I'm like,
Shut up,
got
shut up.
some decent features, and maybe a girl might want to approach me and get to know me because of it. And then when she gets to know my personality, my looks aren't really doing the personality justice
but
because
here's-
it's just so terrible.
Here's the deal. You're a solid looking dude. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, I definitely
Okay,
don't look like
you're
a
a
fucking
young-
liquid or a gas.
There you go. And you're very intelligent and you're a funny guy.
'Cause I know that there's
means
three
you should
forms
be
of
pulling poon.
Matter, solid, liquid, gas.
Shut the
There's
fuck up with your
plasma, too.
chemistry. Okay.
Antimatter,
Oh god damn it.
dark matter.
And I was recently listening to a Tim Norton bit, And he was talking about how he is in his 40s. If you don't know, he's a excellent comic, and if you check him out and get educated because he's
I know that boy.
And he was talking about how he's bald and overweight, and the only reason he gets like hot pussy is because he's funny, and he needs to change that, and he needs to like get in shape. You're at the point where you are young, in shape, good looking, and funny, so you don't even have to work for your pussy. Like, what is your problem?
I do have to work for it. I have to work really hard to
Why?
get nowhere.
Like-
I have to work really hard to get to know girls or women or whatever. And then when I get to that point where it's like we've done everything except decided to be physically engaged with each other, then it's like, oh, just so you know, I'm not interested in you at all because I've gotten to know you over these past few weeks, days, months, whatever.
Oh, so once I get to know you, I don't like you anymore.
Right.
Similar
And that's what it
happened
is.
to you, didn't it?
Yep, that was like
know.
last episode. Yeah.
I have so many girls that I have become friends with because they wanted to be friends with me and figure out if they wanted to bone down, and they usually 99 times out of 100 do not want to bone
But
down.
I think maybe some of that has to do with your style of comedy, because it's very unique and it's very sort of avant-garde.
Sure.
If I want, like,
I'll
take it.
Use it that
That's a
way.
good word
So you're pushing the envelope, and where's your like inspiration coming from? Like, what gets you to where you're going at such a young age? Like, you're doing something that other comics, especially in our like comic community, aren't doing. What is giving you that like extra thing?
Well, I mean, I've always been very much into comedy. I've always liked watching things that make me laugh. I've always just had like my group of friends growing up in middle school and high school, and I mean, I guess even elementary school too, where it was just all about, watching shit and laughing, like YouTube videos and stuff. And there's lots of comedy films and comedy icons and comedians and stuff that I looked up to and watched over the years. And a lot of them, during my younger years, I don't keep up with anymore because I've kind of weaned them out and realized like, oh, they're not quite as funny as, like, now that I know more about comedy, I find them kind of dumb or like not that great. But at a certain point, like early high school, I discovered, or even late middle school even, I discovered Tim and Eric.
Yeah.
And
Great show.
lost my fucking mind. Like I've never... the more I watched of them, the more I'd get into them, and still to this day, like just everything I watch of theirs, I'm just like mind blown and just enjoying it in this like pure form of comedy, and that's how I just
Well, wait a minute.
I got really attached to the anti-comedy.
Okay, exactly. You say, I've never seen anything like this, and I got really attached to it. And I really appreciated anti-comedy. What is the definition of anti-comedy? Like, what changed your mind when you were at that young age, that pivotal time when you were like, this is one thing, this is like Bill Cosby, this is, Dana Carvey or something like that,
right?
Which were great specials, and then this other thing came along. How would you define like that pivotal move?
Well, it's anti-comedy, I guess, on the surface is, intentionally not being funny, using audience expectations and conventional form or the conventional format of comedy to raise audience expectations and then just not give them what they're expecting, or give them an anticlimactic ending to whatever comedy bit or piece you're pulling off here. That's sort of on the surface is intentionally not being funny or intentionally thwarting audience expectations, but not with a surprising, rewarding way and like a surprising, disappointing way.
Okay, hold on.
But that's on the surface, and so like a lot of people be like, this just isn't funny. But what is funny about it is being in a room full of people who are watching something who don't get anti-comedy or don't like it, and you get to experience this meta situation of watching a performer on stage know what he's doing, acting like he doesn't, and then seeing people in the room both who are confused and figuring it out, and then seeing people who are cackling because they completely get it.
Yeah.
Or you're seeing people who are just not figuring it out and are just fucking
kind
pissed.
Of,
like
Andy Kaufman.
Right, yes, Andy Kaufman.
Been like
No,
the first anti-comedian, I would think.
Right. Right. Yes. There's something that I find much more brilliant about and interesting about that art than I do conventional formulaic comedy where, you know, everybody's sort of on the same thing, interchanging, you know, what the content is.
Well, yeah, but do you ever feel like you're actually cheating the audience in that if you bomb and it's nothing but crickets because you're doing this anti-comedy thing and you're actually intentionally trying to be lame and unfunny and drab and they're not laughing, but at the same time in your mind you're winning because the audience is lame and drab and not laughing. Do you ever feel like that's sort of unfair?
Well, it's not that anti-comedy is the only thing I do. I mean, sometimes like I'll have those sets that
I'm not talking about just the only thing you do. Let's
right.
stick it to anti-comedy.
Right. Well, what I'm saying, like I'm going to get to that, but
Okay.
what I'm saying is sometimes I have sets that are purely anti-comedy.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I have ones that are hybrids where like I weave in and out of like, oh, this joke's anti-comedy, this next one it's a solid joke, and then but then I'm going to
Sure,
go
I've
back
seen
into
you very
anti-comedy
much,
or you know like or I'm going to do a set of solid jokes and then just throw some anti-comedy in there, you know, like or I'm just not going to do any at all. But with that gives audiences, whether they have seen me before or not, no ability to be able to predict what's coming next. And that's the best part of comedy, is having that element of surprise and not an audience, or as an audience member, not knowing what to expect and always just kind of being blindsided by what you're experiencing. Now,
Sure.
in terms of doing a fully pure anti-comedy set,
Yeah.
in a room with people that hate anti-comedy, no one in the room gets it, and you know, in my mind, I'm doing what I'm doing intentionally. Then, yes, doing a purely anti-comedy set where the room is just not getting it. I feel it is still my job to try to get a room to get it, maybe like up the sarcasm a little bit. Like that's what I'll try to do if I'm doing an anti-comedy set and just no one's getting it. Like almost kind of trying to throw them a little bone. But at the same time, depending on my mood, like I might not be in the mood to throw a bone. I might not be in the mood to try to get the crowd again. I might be in more of a mood where it's like, no, I fucking hate this crowd right now, and I want them to have a miserable 10 to 15 minutes of having to sit through my shit. That's very rare, but you know, there's usually always at least a couple people in the room that get it, and it's like those people, that's my audience, and I want to reward those people who are into that sort of thing.
Well, in all fairness, I don't want to brag about this, but I think we were your audience. in
Right,
that.
correct, right.
Like, I think we got
We were
it.
the
And that's
ones
why we're like,
laughing
oh
our
my god,
asses
we got to
out.
get you on the show. Holy
Nobody
shit.
else was laughing.
Right.
We're like, this
Like-
guy is the fucking funniest person in this motherfucker.
Oh, well, thanks so
I'm
much.
serious though. That's-
Yeah, no, that's kind of how we met.
But I've
Yeah.
seen you do, like you said, both kind of shows. Like I've seen shows where everybody's laughing. You're dressed up and talking like a Mexican dude. Everybody was fucking laughing. And then other times you would go in there and there were crickets, and me and Lando would be in the back just cracking up. Like, are you
Yeah.
guys serious? This guy's fucking hilarious and nobody's laughing.
Yeah, I mean, and usually when I go to do a show, and like this is the typical state of mind I'm in. I usually do some sort of hybrid, where like maybe it's mostly anti-comedy every once in a while. Actually, you know, scratch that. Let's just say my usual state of mind when doing a purely anti-comedy set is, I'd say about 20% of the audience. That's the usual amount that completely gets it. I usually have about 20% of people laughing on average. On good nights, sometimes I have, fucking the whole room laughing, or, more of like 75, 80%. There's still a few people in there that are just fucking hating what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Or just whether they get it and they just don't like it, or they don't get it and they're just confused. In my mind, though, I feel like no matter what that percentage is, I'm rewarding the people who have the capacity to understand and punishing the people who punishing the people who it's like it's your fucking fault for not liking this shit. You could like it if you wanted to.
Most people on stage are like, "Oh shit, I'm fucking up. Nobody's laughing." You're like, "No, I don't care if you're not laughing. I'm punishing you." And because you're not laughing, I'm
That's
gonna
what's great.
I think that's a great mentality to have.
But I
as
think
a comic.
that's less of wanting to do anti-comedy, and that's more of the reason I do like politically incorrect or like off-color, like offensive material, like over the line or over the top rape jokes. I do that because it's like, dude, we're at a fucking comedy club. It is a given that I'm joking. Do not like anyone that gets pissed at a comedy club for anything. Stop taking life so fucking seriously.
Yeah.
But
Right.
really, the whole I'm giving this to people who get it. I'm giving them some pleasure, and I'm punishing the people who don't get it or won't take it, because it's more of I'm doing offensive shit to fuck with uptight people, because I don't think people should be that uptight about content in general or whatever, but especially not at a fucking comedy club.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like, if I'm going to make you have a fucking miserable time at this comedy club, because you shouldn't ever come back to a fucking comedy club. Close
it out.
That's very militant, but
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you
legitimate.
guys close it out.
I mean, that's it. Shit show, right? YouTube. The easiest way to find you is on YouTube.
Yeah, shit show Cameron Smith, Google or YouTube that.
There you go. I mean, I think we already said everything we needed to say.
I'm sorry, guys. I tried to give it another whack, and I just didn't.
You're a fucking asshole. Just kidding. Anyways. Peace.